apart from encouraging hatred for spurious reasons and causing needless division between the sexes and races, another problem with intersectional theory is that it has inverted the path to social status. For all recorded history and across all cultures around the world, the way to achieve high status in a society has traditionally been to become accomplished in something, to achieve something of note. Think of celebrated individuals from the past. We revere William Shakespeare because of his accomplishments with the English language. We celebrate Mozart for his accomplishments with music, Newton for his accomplishments in science, and Churchill for his accomplishments in wartime leadership. Longtime followers of the Fuel Project will know that my own biggest hero outside of the Bible is William Wilberforce, who I revere because of his accomplishments in using Christian principles to reform society. Now, here's the thing. Accomplishment is really, really difficult. If you want to accomplish something great, you're going to have to become really competent in a particular field. And if you want to become competent in anything at all, it's going to require a lot of practice, a lot of effort, a lot of sacrifice, and a lot of struggle. You accomplish things through hard work. Now, it's as you struggle towards the competence necessary for that achievement that your character is then going to be developed. And the Bible tells us about this. It says, we can rejoice too when we run into problems and trials, for we know that they help us to develop endurance, and endurance develops strength of character. Struggle develops our character. So as you strive for your goal, there are going to be some days when it doesn't look like you're going to make it. There are going to be some obstacles along the way. There's going to be frustrations and setbacks and disappointments. You're probably going to have to contend with some naysayers, and perhaps you'll want to give up many days. But if you're really determined to achieve that something great, you won't give up. You'll keep on struggling. You'll find a way to battle through and keep going. So you struggle, that develops endurance and character, you get competent, and then finally, because you're competent, you reach your goal. That's the kind of sequence of events. Almost everyone we revere went through this kind of struggle. Walt Disney was once fired from a junior animation job at the Kansas City Star because his editor believed he lacked imagination and had no good ideas. Albert Einstein was once told in a school report card that he would never amount to anything. Charlotte Bronte was once told by her school teacher that she wrote indifferently and knows nothing of grammar. Abraham Lincoln experienced defeat in several campaigns for public office before eventually becoming president of the United States. Steven Spielberg was rejected 3 times from film school. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. We revere all of these people for their accomplishments, but the truth is, to accomplish, they first had to struggle and develop character. They had to work through the setbacks and defeats, and in the process, their character was refined. They had to learn humility, empathy, dedication, hard work, discipline, resilience, and courage. And this, in truth, is really why we celebrate high achievers and award them this high social status. It's partly because of what they achieved, yes, but it's more because we understand the kind of person they must have needed to be in order to achieve those things. That's what makes them worthy of reverence. That's why we listen to high achievers on podcasts, because we think in order for that person to achieve what he did, he must have some extraordinary character traits that I can learn from. I want to know what kind of person could possibly have done something as great as that. Now, rewarding high achievement with status generally works really well for a society. It means that people will generally strive to become the kind of individuals who achieve. That is, competent individuals of good character. And yes, if they reach their goal along with the high status, they will probably find themselves with power, with influence, and wealth as well, because these things tend to follow accomplishment and status. And when they do, they're well-deserved. The problem with intersectional theory, however, is that it has inverted the path to status. No longer are people encouraged to aim upwards as before, but instead downwards. There's a race to the bottom going on. Instead of striving to become great and to achieve, people now strive to become poor and downtrodden, because the way to status is no longer through accomplishment, but rather through victimhood. Remember, you don't want to find yourself above the horizontal line in any respect, which means you don't want to be successful or accomplished in any way. Because under this system, that means you must be an exploiter, an oppressor, a villain. You must be evil. Instead, you only want to find yourself below the horizontal line. You want to able to demonstrate that you're in an oppressed category, that you're a victim, because that means that you're good and noble. Those are the ones who the woke will celebrate and champion and revere and give status to. If you want status among the woke, there's no need to strive for competence. There's no need to develop the character necessary for great things. Simply be a poor, non-white, Muslim, overweight lesbian woman. The more points you can claim below the horizontal line, the more that will get you status, and the more loudly you can shout about your oppression, the more status you will receive from the woke. And along with that status will come wealth and platforms and opportunities and jobs. No longer do you actually have to accomplish something and become the kind of person who may accomplish something. Now you just have to whine about your victimhood and oppression. It's far easier. And it encourages people to whine and wallow in their victimhood. Instead of having to make something of yourself and do difficult things and refine your character, now you simply have to complain about how oppressed and discriminated against you are, and the doors will begin to fling open. Now, if rewarding people with high status for high achievement encourage people to become achievers, people who struggle, people who overcome and develop good character, now rewarding people with high status for victimhood encourages victims who only strive to cry and whinge and wail and complain the loudest so that the woke might hear their calls and give them status. And so what we're developing is just a society of whingers, people with no resilience, no character, whose only response to hard times is to pout and cry and wallow in their pain and sadness. And this is why it's sometimes called the Victimhood Olympics. People are competing to be the most victimized, to whinge the loudest, to cry the hardest, so they may win society's biggest prizes. We'll talk more about this in the next episode.